Hi, my name is Simone and I am 3D supervisor at Roberts Motion Control. In this tutorial I will introduce you to Simul8. Simul8 is a plugin for Maya that allows you to use the 3D models of the full gamma of motion control rigs of Mark Roberts. The models come with an IK solver and a limit checker that allows you to understand if the camera movements that you're plotting out is going to be feasible on the machine that you're going to use on set. So it's very useful for pre-production. You can also use it in post-production once the shootings has been done to import moves that has been run on sets and to import them in Maya and to give them back to the clients. Once the installation process is finished, you should be able to see in the plugin manager the Simul8 plugin. Let's load it. You should also have a shelf called Simul8. The shelf has got plenty of buttons and they are divided by colors. The blue color represent buttons and actions that you can do with the rigs. The greens are tools and the red are tools to work on. So the greens are general tools and the reds are tools to work with camera animations. So for example, smoothing the camera or spanning a portion of the camera and so on. In order to import rig, right click on import rig button. A pop-up menu will appear. As you can see, the rigs are divided in clear and rig mover. The difference is very simple. The clear rig is basically, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have the IK solver, it doesn't have the limit checker. It comes in, and the reason why is there is because if you want to import a move from Flare, an axis value move, then you will have to import the clear rig and load the move on it. To show how it works, I will import a rig mover bolt. The rig scale is 1 Maya unit to 1 meter. We can obviously scale it up. So let's scale it to by 100. In this case, it would be 1 unit, 1 centimeter. As you can notice as well, the rig comes with the top of the tracks at ground level, floor level. So if you want to use it properly, I would suggest to allow for 20 centimeters. This is usually the height of the rail once it gets leveled. Let's press 6 to see the textures, and I do not like to see the locators. So that's it. You've imported the rig, and the rig comes with a rig mover node inside its hierarchy and a limit checker node. The rig mover node, just to show you as a locator, it's this arrow here. And what it does is basically it's the inverse kinematic locator. It just moves the rig based on its position, animates the axis in an inverse manner. So for example, let's say we've got a camera that we received from a client. Let me create the camera. Let's scale it up a bit, 25, and just for display's sake, I want to see the first one because I like it. I like to see what it looks like. There you go. So frame 1 here, and frame 2 up there. Maybe that, and looking other way around, and a bit roll. Key selected, and there you go, masterpiece. So as you can see, when I'm scrolling, the rig is disappearing. If that happens, it's because there is a display layer with the permanent unchecked. So just make that little P appear and it won't disappear anymore while scrubbing. So now that I've got camera animation, what I want to do is to link my rig with the camera. And it's very simple. The only thing I have to do is basically select the camera and then select the rig mover node and constrain it to it. So parent, I don't want to maintain the offset, so close. That's obviously too far. So what I can do is just like take the rig closer to the camera. It's quite nice. I'll just hide back the locators, I don't like them. So something is wrong at the moment, like the camera is not in the right position of the camera gauge on the rig. And that means that the nodal offset is not set properly. So select the rig mover node and then open the channel box. If you click on rig mover shape, you will notice that you got like custom attributes here that you can tweak. The nodal offset is basically an offset that you can apply to the solver in order to move the rig to match the real position of the camera. So in this case I want a -21 from the tilt axis, and I want the camera cage 15 centimeters. Whoop, wrong axis, 15 centimeters back. Alright, and as you can see here, the pan arm seems to be flipped, so I want it in this way. I just flip the arm back as it is. I mean, it will work the same, but the pan arm on these arms got a maximum limit and a minimum limit. It's not infinite, so it's better to have it in the right way. In this way, the rig already could cope with animation. But let's say I'm not happy with it. I want to use more of the track. So just to use all the axes might be not the right solution, but I just want to show you that this is for demonstration purposes. I'm just gonna rotate the rig of 90 degrees, and I want to use the track a bit more. So I'm gonna select the rig mover shape, go back to frame 1, select the track, middle click in the viewport, and then I'm just gonna move the track further down the row, a bit like that. Maybe a bit less. I don't want to move it too much. Select and key, and then at the other end of the animation, obviously it's gone out of range already. You can see that the arm is napping. I just want to move it back a bit. There you go. Let me key select and then review my animation. Right, so now I'm using all the axes now. So very nice. Let's say I'm happy with this animation. What I can do now is export this rig animation in a format that Flare is going to be able to read it. So I'm going to select the rig hierarchy and save rig move. Where am I? Data and projects, tutorials, simulate, rig moves, chest 2. And it goes through the animation, bakes out the axis values per frame, and produces a text file. Each line's got frame number, an axis, and the axis value. Boom, this is all you need. So the operator now is going to be ready to import the move and mimic and run it. And if the limits are going to be checked and the limits are inside are feasible, then the rig will be able to run the move. The limit checker node is there for that. So the limit checker checks per frame the position of each axis, the velocity of each axis, and the acceleration of it. And it's going to scream at you through the shelf, actually to the script editor, when something is wrong. First thing first, activate it. So as you can see, there is a real-time factor just like in Flare, and there will be a velocities and acceleration maximum FPS, which are, as I will show you in a second, the maximum frame rate that the rig can perform the movement. In this case, it's 96. However, as it's saying here, the pan is breaking the limit value, and that's because what Simul8 does through the animation is to keep track of the rounds of each axis. So for example, rotates and pan. If it goes around the 360, it keeps count that has got one round, and it keeps adding from 360 onwards. So because pan is not infinite, what you want to do is to reset the axis, go back, play again. That will reset the rounds of each axis that actually supports that function. So pan, roll, rotates. So in this case, as you can see, no warnings. And I can see through the limit check node that I can run this move up to 96 frames per second. That's the speed that will allow me to run the move. And in the limit checker shape, if you scroll down the windows, you've got basically the same attributes, custom attributes per each axis. So you will have a track comp 0, 1, and 2. These are position, velocity, and acceleration of the track axis, and then you will have the minimum and maximum value for that axis. In this case, it's set to 1 meter, minus 1 meter and 1 meter. If you want to check the value, the maximum velocity of the track, if you want to check the velocity and the acceleration, the maximum acceleration, and frame per second per axis. So here it's going to tell you that the track is going to run up until 96 frames per second. And all these values are repeated per each axis of the rig. So, and also you've got a couple of spare auxiliary axes that you can plug in if you have, I don't know, for example, rig turntable or something that you want to keep track of that it's not related or whatever. I mean, the word is a oyster. Now you've exported the move, the operator on set run it, everyone is happy. However, the director wants some tweaks, and those tweaks happens, and you don't do the tweaks, but the operator on set does the tweaks through global offset or something else, I don't know. Now your move is different of what is being run on set. So what do you do? You just get through the same file format a move from Flare, which you can import in here. So the next step would be select this rig and import a bolt clear, because I want to load a move. And you will notice that once I've selected a rig and then importing another rig, what it's going to do is to position the new rig in the same position and scale it properly as well. So basically it's coupling them. Now I'm going to select the new rig, and then I'm just going to load, just for simplicity's sake, the move that I've exported 2 seconds ago. So load rig move, test 2, open. As you can see, it's basically loading the same move, and per frame the rigs are looking the same. Wait a second, this one is disappearing because the display layer is disabled. There you go. So I'm selecting both 1 and 2. And that's it. So for this introduction tutorial, it's everything. And if you've got any question, please send me an email and to this email address. And I'll see you to the next one.